Chapter 5. Tate. Are you off for Thanksgiving? My mother asks. I switch my cell to my other ear and pull the apartment key out of my purse. Yeah, but not Christmas. I only work weekends for now. Good. Tell Corbin we're not dead yet if he ever gets the urge to call us. I laugh. I'll tell him. Love you. I hang up and put my cell phone into the pocket of my scrub top. It's only a part-time job, but it gets my foot in the door. Tonight was my last night of training before I start weekend rotations tomorrow night. I like the job so far, and I was honestly shocked to land it after my first interview. It works out with my school schedule too. I'm in school every weekday, doing either clinical or classroom hours. Then I work second shift on the weekends over at the hospital. It's been a seamless transition up to this point. I also like San Francisco. I know it's only been 2 weeks, but I could see myself staying here after graduation next spring rather than going back to San Diego. Corbin and I have even been getting along, although he's gone more than he's home, so I'm sure that has everything to do with it. I smile, finally feeling like I've found my place, and I open the door to the apartment. My smile fades as soon as it meets the eyes of 3 other guys, only 2 of whom I recognize. Miles is standing in the kitchen, and the married asshole from the elevator is sitting on the couch. Why the hell is Miles here? Why the hell are any of them here? I glare at Miles as I kick off my shoes and drop my purse on the counter. Corbin isn't due back for 2 more days, and I was looking forward to the peace and quiet tonight so I could get some studying done. It's Thursday, Miles says when he sees the scowl on my face, like the day of the week is supposed to be some sort of explanation. He's watching me from his position in the kitchen. He can see I'm not happy. So it is, I reply, and tomorrow is Friday. I turn to the other 2 guys sitting on Corbin's couch. Why are you all in my apartment? The blonde, lanky guy immediately stands up and walks over to me. He extends his hand. Tate? He asks. I'm Ian. I grew up with Miles. I'm a friend of your brother's. He points to the elevator guy, who is still seated on the couch. This is Dylan. Dylan gives me a nod but doesn't bother speaking. He doesn't have to. His shit-eating grin says enough about what he's thinking right now. Miles walks back into the living room and points to the television. This is kind of a thing we do some Thursdays if either of us is home. Game night. I don't care if it's their thing. I have homework. Corbin isn't even home tonight. Can't you do this at your apartment? I need to study. Miles hands Dylan a beer and then looks back at me. I don't have cable. Of course you don't. And Dylan's wife doesn't let us use his place. Of course she doesn't. I roll my eyes and walk to my bedroom, slamming the door unintentionally. I change out of my scrubs and pull on a pair of jeans. I grab the shirt I slept in last night and just get it over my head when someone knocks on the door. I swing it open almost as dramatically as I slammed it earlier. He's so tall. I didn't realize how tall he was, but now that he's standing in my doorway, filling it, he seems really tall. If he were to wrap his arms around me right now, my ear would press against his heart. Then his cheek would rest comfortably on top of my head. If he were to kiss me, I'd have to tilt my face up to meet his. But it would be nice, because he would probably wrap his arms around my lower back and pull me to him so that our mouths would come together like 2 pieces of a puzzle. Only they wouldn't fit very well, because they are most definitely not 2 pieces from the same puzzle. Something strange is going on in my chest. A flutter kind of thing. I hate it because I know what it means. It means my body is really starting to like Miles. I just hope my brain never catches up. If you need quiet, you can go to my place, he says. I cringe at the way his offer works knots into my stomach. I shouldn't be excited about the possibility of being inside his apartment, but I am. We'll probably be here another 2 hours, he adds. There's regret in his voice somewhere. It would more than likely take a search party to locate it, but it's buried there somewhere, beneath all the sultriness. I expel a quick, relinquishing breath. I'm being a bitch. This isn't even my apartment. This is their thing that they obviously do on a regular basis, and who am I to think I can just move in and put a stop to it? I'm just tired, I say to him. It's fine. I'm sorry if I was rude to your friends. Friend, he says as clarification. Dylan is not my friend. I don't ask him what he means by that. He glances into the living room, then looks back at me. He leans against the frame of the door, an indication that my relinquishing the apartment for their game wasn't the end of our conversation. He swings his eyes to the scrubs strewn across my mattress. You got a job? Yeah, I say, wondering why he's suddenly up for conversation. Registered nurse in an ER. A crease appears on his forehead, and I can't tell if it's a result of confusion or fascination. Aren't you still in nursing school? How can you already work as an RN? I'm getting my master's in nursing so I can work as a CRNA. I already have my RN license. His expression is obstinate, so I clarify. It allows me to administer anesthesia. He stares at me for a few seconds before standing up straight and pushing off the door frame. Good for you, he says. There's no smile, though. Why doesn't he ever smile? He walks back to the living room. I step out of the doorway and watch him. Miles takes his seat on the couch and gives the TV his full attention. Dylan is giving me his full attention, but I look away and head to the kitchen to find something to eat. There isn't much, considering I haven't cooked all week, so I grab all the stuff I need from the refrigerator in order to make a sandwich. When I turn around, Dylan is still staring. Only now he's staring from about a foot away, instead of all the way from the living room. He smiles, then steps forward and reaches into the refrigerator, coming inches from my face. So, you're Corbin's little sis? I think I'm with Miles on this one. I don't much like Dylan either. Dylan's eyes aren't anything like Miles's eyes. When Miles looks at me, his eyes hide everything. Dylan's eyes don't hide anything, and right now, they're clearly undressing me. Yes, I say simply as I make my way around him. I walk to the pantry and open it to look for the bread. Once I find it, I set it on the bar and begin making my sandwich. I lay out bread for an extra sandwich to take to Cap. He's kind of grown on me in the little time I've lived here. I found out he works up to 14 hours a day sometimes, but only because he lives in the building alone and doesn't have anything better to do. He seems to appreciate my company, and especially gifts in the form of food, so until I make more friends here, I guess I'll be spending my downtime with an 80-year-old. Dylan casually leans against the counter. You a nurse or something? He opens his beer and brings it to his mouth, but pauses before taking a drink. He wants me to answer him first. Yep, I say with a clipped voice. He smiles and takes a swig of his beer. I continue making my sandwiches, intentionally trying to appear closed off, but Dylan doesn't seem to take the hint. He just continues to stare at me until my sandwiches are made. I'm not offering to make him a damn sandwich if that's why he's still here. I'm a pilot, he says. He doesn't say it in a smug way, but when no one's asking you what your occupation is, voluntarily contributing it to the conversation naturally comes off as smug. I work at the same airline as Corbin. He's staring at me, waiting for me to be impressed by the fact that he's a pilot. What he doesn't realize is that all the men in my life are pilots. My grandfather was a pilot. My father was a pilot until he retired a few months ago. My brother is a pilot. Dylan, if you're trying to impress me, you're going about it the wrong way. I much prefer a guy with a little more modesty and a lot less wife. My eyes flash down to the wedding ring on his left hand. Game just started, Miles says, walking into the kitchen. directing his words toward Dylan. His words might be innocuous, but his eyes are definitely telling Dylan that he needs to return to the living room. Dylan sighs as if Miles just stripped away all his fun. "It's good to see you again, Tate," he says, acting as if the conversation would have come to an end, whether Miles decided it should or not. "You should join us in the living room." His eyes scroll over Miles, even though he's speaking to me. Apparently, the game just started. Dylan straightens up and shoulders past Miles, heading back into the living room. Miles ignores Dylan's display of annoyance and slides his hand into his back pocket, pulling out a key. He hands it to me. "Go study at my place." It's not a request. It's a demand. I'm fine studying here. I set the key on the counter and put the lid back on the mayonnaise, refusing to be displaced from my own apartment by 3 boys. I wrap both sandwiches in a paper towel. "The TV isn't even that loud." He takes a step forward until he's close enough to whisper. I'm pretty sure I'm leaving finger indentations on the bread, considering every single part of me, right down to my toes, just tensed. "I'm not fine with you studying here, not until everyone leaves. Go, take your sandwiches with you." I look down at my sandwiches. I don't know why I feel like he just insulted them. "They aren't both for me," I say. She left, so I'm assuming girls just never walk into this apartment. It makes me wonder about Corbin, too. All our years growing up together, he's never been open about his relationships, but I'm pretty sure that's because he's never been in a relationship. Every time I've ever been introduced to a girl in his past, she never seems to make it through an entire week with him. I don't know if that's because he doesn't like keeping someone around, or if it's a sign that he's too difficult to bear around. I'm sure it's the former, based on the number of random phone calls he receives from women. Considering his abundance of one-night stands and lack of commitment, it confuses me how he could be so protective of me growing up. I guess he just knew himself too well. He didn't want me dating guys like him. I wonder if Miles is a guy like Corbin. "Are you washing my dishes?" His voice catches me completely off guard, making me jump in my skin. I spin around and catch sight of a looming Miles, almost dropping the glass in my hands in the process. It slips, but I somehow manage to catch it before it crashes to the floor. I take a calming breath and set it down gently in the sink. "Finished my homework," I say, swallowing the thickness that just swelled in my throat. I look at the dishes that are now in the strainer. "They were dirty." He smiles, I think. Just as soon as his lips start to curl up, they mash back into a straight line. False alarm. "Everyone's gone," Miles says, giving me the all clear to vacate his premises. He notices the orange juice still out on the counter, so he picks it up and puts it back in the refrigerator. "Sorry," I mutter. "I was thirsty." He turns to face me and leans his shoulder into the refrigerator, folding his arms over his chest. "I don't care if you drink my juice, Tate." Oh, wow. That was an oddly sexy sentence. So was his presence in delivering it. Still no smile, though. Jesus Christ, this man. Does he not realize that facial expressions are supposed to accompany speech? I don't want him to see my disappointment, so I turn back toward the sink. I use the sprayer to wash the remaining suds down the drain. I find it quite fitting, considering the weird vibes floating around his kitchen. "How long have you lived here?" I ask, attempting to alleviate the awkward silence as I turn and face him again. "4 years." I don't know why I laugh, but I do. He raises an eyebrow, confused about why his answer caused me to laugh. "It's just that your apartment." I glance toward the living room, then back to him. "It's kind of bland. I thought maybe you just moved in and haven't had a chance to decorate." I didn't mean for that to come out like an insult, but that's exactly how it sounded. I'm just trying to make conversation, but I think I'm only making this awkwardness worse. His eyes move slowly around his apartment as he processes my comment. I wish I could take it back, but I don't even try. I'd probably just make it worse. I work a lot, he says. I never have company, so I guess it just hasn't been a priority. I want to ask him why he never has company, but certain questions seem off limits to him. Speaking of company, what's up with Dylan? Miles shrugs his shoulders, leaning his back completely against the refrigerator. Dylan's an asshole who has no respect for his wife, he says flatly. He turns around completely and walks out of the kitchen, heading toward his bedroom. He pushes his bedroom door closed, but leaves it open just enough so that I can still hear him speak. Thought I'd warn you before you fell for his act. I don't fall for acts, I say, especially acts like Dylan's. Good, he says. Good? Ha. Miles doesn't want me to like Dylan. I love that Miles doesn't want me to like Dylan. Corbin wouldn't like it if you started something up with him. He hates Dylan. Oh, he doesn't want me to like Dylan for Corbin's sake. Why did that just disappoint me? He walks back out of his bedroom, and he's no longer in his jeans and t-shirt. He's in a familiar pair of slacks and a crisp white shirt, unbuttoned and open. He's putting on a pilot's uniform. You're a pilot? I ask, somewhat perplexed. My voice makes me sound oddly impressed. He nods and walks into the laundry room adjacent to the kitchen. That's how I know Corbin, he says. We were in flight school together. He walks back into his kitchen with a laundry basket and sets it on the counter. He's a good guy. His shirt isn't buttoned. I'm staring at his stomach. Stop staring at his stomach. Oh my word, he has the V, those beautiful indentations on men that run the length of their outer abdominal muscles, disappearing beneath their jeans as if the indentations are pointing to a secret bull's eye. Jesus Christ, Tate, you're staring at his damn crotch. He's buttoning his shirt now, so I somehow gain superhuman strength and force my eyes to look back up at his face. Thoughts. I should have some of those, but I can't find them. Maybe it's because I just found out he's an airline pilot. But why would that impress me? It doesn't impress me that Dylan's a pilot. But then again, I didn't find out Dylan was a pilot while he was doing laundry and flaunting his abs. A guy folding laundry while flaunting his abs and being a pilot is seriously impressive. Miles is fully dressed now. He's putting on his shoes, and I'm watching him like I'm in a theater, and he's the main attraction. Is that safe? I ask, finding a coherent thought somehow. You've been drinking with the guys, and now you're about to be at the controls of a commercial jet? Miles zips his jacket, then picks up an already packed duffel bag from the floor. I've only had water tonight, he says, right before exiting the kitchen. I'm not much of a drinker, and I definitely don't drink on work nights. I laugh and follow him toward the living room. I walk to the table to grab my things. I think you're forgetting how we met, I say. Move-in day? Someone passed out drunk in the hallway day? He opens the front door to let me out. I have no idea what you're talking about, Tate, he says. We met on an elevator, remember? I can't tell if he's kidding because there's no smile or gleam in his eyes. He closes the door behind us. I hand him back his apartment key, and he locks his door. I walk to mine and open it. Tate? I almost pretend I don't hear him just so he'll have to say my name again. Instead, I turn around and face him, pretending to be completely unaffected by this man. That night you found me in the hallway? That was an exception, a very rare exception. There's something unspoken in his eyes, and maybe even in his voice. He stands paused at his front door, poised to walk toward the elevators. He's waiting to see if I have anything to say in response. I should tell him goodbye. Maybe I should tell him to have a safe flight. That could be considered bad luck, though. I should just say goodnight. Was the exception because of what happened with Rachel? Yes, I really just chose to say that instead. Why did I just say that? His posture changes. His expression freezes, as if my words jolted him with a bolt of lightning. He's more than likely confused that I said that, because he obviously doesn't remember anything about that night. Quick, Tate, recover. You thought I was someone named Rachel, I blurt out, explaining away the awkwardness as best I can. I just thought maybe something happened between the two of you, and that's why, you know. Miles inhales a deep breath, but he tries to hide it. I hit a nerve. We don't talk about Rachel, apparently. Good night, Tate, he says, turning away. I can't tell what just happened. Did I embarrass him? Piss him off? Make him sad? Whatever I did, I hate this thing now. This awkwardness that's filling the space between my door and the elevator he's now standing in front of. I walk inside my apartment and close my door, but the awkwardness is everywhere. It didn't remain out in the hallway.
To be continued.